The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the darkness between stars. It was bigger than most moons and home to thousands of different alien species. Today, something terrible had happened, and every important leader in the galaxy was rushing to get there. Ambassador Zixthala walked into the great meeting hall on her 6 legs. Her purple skin was darker than usual, which meant she was very scared. Her 4 yellow eyes looked around the room at all the other alien representatives. The crystalline shards sparkled nervously in their corner. The gas-like ethereals swirled in worried patterns inside their containment suits. Even the tough Corvan warriors looked uncomfortable in their battle armor. "My fellow beings," Zixthala began, her voice shaking, "we have a serious problem. The humans have done it again." A low murmur went through the crowd. Whenever someone mentioned humans, bad things usually followed. The shards made a sound like breaking glass. The ethereals turned a worried shade of green. 3 days ago, Zixthala continued, a human ship was spotted near the Vega system. There was a neutron star there that was about to collapse. Any normal species would stay far away from such danger, but not the humans. She pressed a button, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed a small human ship flying impossibly close to a massive spinning star. The star was dying, throwing off huge waves of energy that could destroy entire planets. The human captain's name was Jake Morrison. According to our sensors, he and his crew were surfing the gravitational waves coming off the collapsing star. Surfing, my friends, for fun. Several aliens in the audience made sounds of horror. One of the Corvan generals stood up. "That is impossible. No ship can survive that close to a neutron star collapse." "That is what we thought too," Zixthala replied. "But somehow they did it. They rode the energy waves like they were playing some kind of game. Our scientists say what they did should have killed them instantly. Instead, they seemed to be enjoying themselves." She pressed another button. Now they could hear audio from the human ship. Jake Morrison's voice came through the speakers, whooping with joy. "Yahoo, did you see that wave? Let's try to catch the next one." The aliens in the audience looked sick. Many of them covered their ears or eyes. "But that is not the worst part," Zixthala said. "When our patrol ships tried to warn them about the danger, Captain Morrison said something that still gives me nightmares." The room became completely quiet. Everyone was listening. He handed his drink to another human and said, "Hold my beer. I want to try something." Then he flew his ship even closer to the neutron star. He tried to ride the event horizon itself. The silence in the room was broken by the sound of one of the ethereals fainting. Several other aliens had to be helped to their seats. The gravitational waves from his stunt almost destroyed 3 nearby planets. Zixthala continued. "We had to evacuate 2 million beings from the Vega colonies because the space around the star became unstable." General Korth of the Corvan Empire slammed his fist on his chair. "This is exactly what we feared when humans first joined the galactic community. They have no sense of danger. They do not understand consequences." "It gets worse," Zixthala said. "Last week, another human named Pete Collins challenged the artificial intelligence that controls the Sigma black hole to an arm wrestling contest. An arm wrestling contest with a black hole's computer brain, just to see what would happen." The room erupted in panic. Aliens were shouting in dozens of different languages. Some were calling for their fleets to be mobilized. Others were talking about evacuating their home worlds. Ambassador Veltar of the Shard Collective spoke up, his crystal body flashing red with anger. "The humans are a menace to galactic safety. Every week there is a new report of their impossible activities. They treat the laws of physics like suggestions. Remember the incident with the solar flare racing?" asked General Korth. "Or when they tried to use a pulsar as a lighthouse? Or when they organized that asteroid demolition derby in the Perseus sector?" "My people have been studying human behavior for 50 years, said Zixthala. "Our best scientists cannot explain how they survive the things they do. They should be extinct by now. Instead, they keep doing more dangerous things and somehow succeeding." She brought up another holographic image. This one showed a human woman in a spacesuit, floating next to what looked like a massive space storm. The woman was taking pictures of herself with the deadly phenomenon in the background. This human, Jenny Martinez, took vacation photos inside a cosmic ray storm last month. She said it was pretty and worth the risk. The radiation levels should have killed her in seconds. The alien representatives looked at each other with growing fear. They had faced wars, plagues, and natural disasters. But nothing in the galaxy scared them more than humans and their complete lack of normal self-preservation instincts. "There is something else," Sixthala said quietly. "Our intelligence networks report that humans are planning something they call Operation Cosmic Roulette. We do not know what it is, but the name alone terrifies our analysts." High Counselor Zephyrum, the oldest being in the room, finally spoke. His ancient voice carried the weight of 1,000 years. "In all my time serving this council, I have never seen a species that poses such a unique threat to galactic stability. Not through malice or conquest, but through sheer impossible recklessness. The humans do not mean to be dangerous," Zixthala agreed. "That is what makes them so terrifying. They think they are just having fun." "Then we have no choice," said General Korth. "We must contain them before they accidentally destroy us all." The vote was swift and unanimous. Every species in the galaxy agreed that humans needed to be stopped for everyone's safety. They would send their best peacekeeping forces to establish a quarantine around human space. As the meeting ended and the aliens prepared to return to their ships, none of them noticed the small communication device hidden in the corner of the room. Captain Lisa Wong of the Human Diplomatic Service had been listening to everything. She smiled and activated her ship's faster-than-light communicator. "Earth Command, this is Wong. You are not going to believe what just happened." Captain Lisa Wong's ship, the Starlight Express, was heading back to Earth when she saw them. Dozens of alien ships formed a line across space, blocking her path home. The ships were sleek and powerful, painted in the blue and silver colors of the Galactic Confederation's stellar guardians. Lisa slowed her ship and opened a communication channel. "This is Captain Wong of the Human Diplomatic Service. I need to pass through to Earth space," a polite voice answered her. It belonged to Commander Vexhai, one of the Guardian's top officers. "Captain Wong, we regret to inform you that human space is now under protective quarantine. For the safety of the galaxy, humans must remain in their designated areas." Lisa stared at her screen. "Excuse me? Did you just say we're quarantined?" "That is correct. Your species has been classified as too dangerous to roam freely through galactic space. Please return to Earth immediately and inform your government of this decision." Lisa was quiet for a moment. Then she started laughing. She laughed so hard that tears came to her eyes. "Too dangerous? Us? Commander, have you met us? We're the species that puts warning labels on coffee cups because we forget the coffee is hot." "That is exactly why you are dangerous," Commander Vexhai replied seriously. "Your people do not seem to understand danger. Last week, one of your citizens tried to pet a space whale. A space whale, Captain Wong. Those creatures are larger than your biggest cities." "Did he succeed?" Lisa asked. "That is not the point," the alien commander said, sounding frustrated. "The point is that he tried. Your people try things that should be impossible." Lisa shook her head and sent her ship toward the nearest jump point to Earth. She had news to deliver, and she had a feeling the response would be interesting. 2 days later, Lisa sat in the emergency meeting room at the United Nations Space Command Headquarters. The room was full of Earth's top military and scientific leaders. She had just finished explaining what happened at the Alien Council meeting. Admiral Rick Murphy, the head of Space Command, was still chuckling. He was a big man with gray hair and laugh lines around his eyes. "Let me get this straight," he said. "The aliens are so scared of us that they put us in timeout?" "That's about the size of it," Lisa replied. "They think we're going to accidentally blow up the galaxy." Dr. Kate Phillips, Earth's chief engineer, raised her hand. She was a small woman with bright red hair and oil stains on her uniform. "Can I ask a technical question? What kind of energy barriers are they using for this quarantine?" "Standard Confederation force fields," Lisa answered. "Why?" Kate smiled. It was the kind of smile that made smart people nervous. "Oh, no reason. I was just wondering if they've ever tested those barriers against a little human ingenuity. Kate, Admiral Murphy said in a warning tone. What are you thinking? Well, sir, I've been working on some new ideas for ship modifications. I call the project Operation Make Things Go Fast. I was wondering if alien barriers are designed to stop something that doesn't follow normal physics. Colonel Sam Rodriguez, the pilot who had once flown through a comet's tail just to see if it was possible, leaned forward. Admiral, permission to speak freely? Go ahead, Sam. Sir, has anyone ever told us we couldn't do something and had it actually work? Because I'm thinking this might be a good time to test that theory. Admiral Murphy rubbed his forehead. Sam, they have an entire fleet out there. What are you suggesting? Nothing too crazy, sir. I was just thinking about taking my ship, the Crazy Horse, out for a little test flight. Maybe see how close I can get to their formation without technically crossing the line. That sounds like a terrible idea, said Dr. Ben Taylor, the scientist, who had once tried to measure the inside of a black hole by dropping a very long ruler into it. I love it. Lisa looked around the room at these people she had worked with for years. They were all smart, capable professionals. They were also completely insane by any reasonable standard. You guys are really going to do this, aren't you? Lisa, Admiral Murphy said. They told us we can't leave our room because we're too dangerous. Do you know what humans do when someone tells them they can't do something? We do it anyway, everyone in the room said at the same time. Exactly, the Admiral continued. Now let's be clear about this. We're not going to start a war. We're not going to hurt anyone. We're just going to politely show them that their barriers might have a few design flaws. Captain Amy Foster, who had once landed her ship on an asteroid that was spinning so fast it should have torn itself apart, stood up. Sir, request permission to volunteer for the first test mission. What kind of test? Admiral Murphy asked. I want to see if their ships are prepared for the concept of chicken, Amy said with a grin. Chicken? Lisa asked. You know, the game where two cars drive straight at each other and see who turns away first. Except with spaceships. And I won't actually hit them, of course. I'll just see how close I can get before they panic. Dr. Ben Taylor was scribbling notes on a pad. This is perfect. While Amy is testing their psychological responses, I can work on my real project. I call it Operation Cosmic Roulette. What's Operation Cosmic Roulette? Lisa asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted to know. Well, the galaxy has an energy crisis, right? Not enough power for all the growing civilizations. I've been thinking about that problem. And? Ben's eyes lit up with the kind of enthusiasm that had once led him to try to surf inside a solar flare. What if we could turn a black hole into a power generator? I mean, they're just sitting there spinning around full of energy. Seems wasteful not to use them. The room went quiet. Even by human standards, that was a crazy idea. Ben, Admiral, Murphy said carefully, please tell me you're not planning to fly into a black hole. Not me personally, sir. That's a job for a pilot. I'm just the guy with the crazy idea. All eyes turned to Colonel Rodriguez. He was quiet for a moment, thinking. How close to the black hole are we talking? Close enough to deploy energy collectors in the accretion disk, Ben replied. The accretion disk, Rodriguez repeated. The part where matter gets torn apart by gravity and heated to millions of degrees. That's the one. Rodriguez nodded slowly. Yeah, okay. I'm in. Lisa looked around the room at these people who were calmly discussing flying into a black hole like it was a weekend camping trip. You're all completely insane. Thank you, Admiral Murphy said. Now let's talk about how we're going to politely explain to our alien friends that their quarantine might not work the way they think it will. Captain Foster was already heading for the door. I'll get my ship ready. This is going to be fun, as the meeting broke up and everyone went to prepare their impossible plans. Lisa sat alone for a moment. She thought about what the aliens had said about humans being too dangerous to roam free. Looking at her colleagues, she was starting to think the aliens might have a point. But that had never stopped humans before. The first test of the alien quarantine came from an unexpected place. Danny Brooks was a mechanic who worked on mining ships in the asteroid belt. He was not a soldier or a scientist. He was just a guy who was good at fixing things that were broken. The problem was a pulsar called PSR 7749. It was a spinning star that shot out deadly radiation beams like a cosmic lighthouse. The radiation was so strong that it was killing plants on 3 nearby worlds. The aliens had tried to fix it for months, but nothing worked. Danny heard about the problem while he was eating lunch on his mining station. He listened to the news report and shook his head. "Sounds like it just needs a good whack in the right spot," he said to his friend Mike. "Danny, that's a pulsar," Mike replied. "It's a collapsed star. You can't fix it with a wrench." "Everything can be fixed with the right tool," Danny said. "Sometimes you just need to hit it harder." 3 days later, Danny was floating in space near the pulsar, wearing a heavily modified spacesuit. He had convinced the mining company to let him try fixing the star. The company figured they had nothing to lose since the aliens had already given up. Danny looked at the spinning star through his helmet visor. The radiation readings on his suit were off the charts, but the suit's shielding was holding. He pulled out his favorite wrench, a 2-foot-long piece of metal that had fixed 1,000 broken machines. "Okay, big guy," he said to the pulsar. "Let's see what's wrong with you." The alien monitoring station 60 million miles away was in chaos. Admiral Kethvar of the Stellar Guardians was watching Danny's approach on his screens. The Admiral was a tall, blue-skinned being with 3 eyes and a very strong stomach. But watching a human fly toward a pulsar with a toolbox was making him feel sick. "He cannot possibly survive that close to the radiation source," his science officer reported. "The energy levels would kill any known life form in seconds." "Then why is he still alive?" Admiral Kethvar asked. Nobody had an answer. Danny reached the pulsar and began his inspection. He used his suit's sensors to scan the star's magnetic field. "Aha," he said. "There's your problem. The magnetic field is wobbling because the rotation is uneven. Classic case of cosmic imbalance." He positioned himself at what he calculated was the right spot and raised his wrench. "This might tickle a bit," he told the star. Then he hit it. The wrench connected with the pulsar's magnetic field at precisely the right moment in its rotation cycle. The impact created a small adjustment in the star's spin. It was like straightening a bent wheel on a bicycle, except the wheel was a collapsed star with the mass of a sun. The radiation beams from the pulsar immediately became more focused and less dangerous. The deadly radiation that had been spraying across 3 star systems was now contained in narrow, predictable beams. "Fixed," Danny announced. He packed up his tools and headed home. On the alien monitoring station, Admiral Kethvar was having what humans would call a nervous breakdown. "He hit it with a wrench," the Admiral whispered. "He fixed a pulsar with a wrench." "Sir," his communications officer said, "we're receiving a message from the human." Danny's voice came through the speakers. "Hey there, alien folks, the star should be working better now. The radiation is down by about 40%. If it starts acting up again, just give it another tap in the same spot. Oh, and you might want to check the other pulsars in this sector. I bet half of them just need a little adjustment." Admiral Kethvar collapsed into his chair. In 30 years of military service, he had never seen anything like this, but the humans were just getting started. Captain Amy Foster was having the time of her life. Her ship, the Crazy Horse, was flying in formation with the Guardian fleet, staying just outside the quarantine barrier. She had been doing this for 3 hours and the alien ships were getting nervous. "Crazy Horse, this is Guardian Command," came the voice of Commander Vexhai. "Please maintain a safe distance from our vessels." "I am maintaining a safe distance," Amy replied cheerfully. "I'm a whole 50 meters away from your ship. That's practically a mile in space terms." 50 meters is not a safe distance when traveling at these speeds, the alien commander said, his voice tight with stress. "Sure it is. Watch this." Amy suddenly accelerated her ship straight toward the Guardian flagship. The alien sensors screamed warnings as the human vessel approached at full speed. At the last possible second, Amy pulled up and over the alien ship, missing it by less than 10 meters. "See?" she said, as she completed a loop and came back for another pass. Perfectly safe. On the Guardian flagship, Commander Vexhai was gripping his chair so hard his knuckles had turned white. "She is completely insane," he whispered. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the human ship is now playing some kind of audio transmission." Music began pouring from the Crazy Horse's speakers. It was loud, energetic, and completely unlike anything in the alien databases. The lyrics were about trucks, dogs, and something called freedom. "What is that noise?" Commander Vexhai asked. "According to our translation computers, it is called country music," the tactical officer replied. "The humans appear to enjoy it." Amy's voice came over the radio again. "This here's Sweet Home Alabama. I thought you folks might like a little Earth culture." Commander Vexhai made a sound like a deflating balloon. Meanwhile, in the Centauri system, construction worker Tony Walsh was looking at a problem that had stumped alien engineers for weeks. The Alpha Centauri space station was damaged and needed repair, but the work had to be done near a dying star that was about to go supernova. "Well," Tony said to his crew, "looks like we need a really big welding torch." His foreman, a practical man named Joe, looked at him suspiciously. "Tony, what are you thinking?" "I'm thinking that dying star is putting out a lot of energy. If we could control it for just a few minutes, we could use it to weld the station's hull back together." "You want to use a star as a welding torch?" "Why not? It's just really hot plasma. Same principle as a regular torch, just bigger." The alien observers who had been monitoring the repair work were horrified. Using a dying star as a tool was beyond their comprehension. Stars were forces of nature, not equipment. But Tony had already started working. He used the station's gravitational field generators to create a focused beam of stellar energy. It took him 6 hours of careful adjustments, but he managed to stabilize the star's collapse just long enough to complete the welding job. "There, we go," he announced when the work was finished. Good as new. The dying star, having been briefly controlled by human engineering, resumed its natural collapse, but the space station was now fully repaired and stronger than before. Back on Nexus Prime, Ambassador Zixathala was receiving reports from around the galaxy. Each report was more impossible than the last. Humans were fixing broken stars, playing chicken with military fleets, and using cosmic phenomena as tools. "How are they doing these things?" she asked her science advisor. "We do not know," the advisor replied. "By all known laws of physics, they should be dead. Instead, they appear to be having fun." Zixathala looked at the latest report. A human, named Kevin, had apparently tried to teach a space whale to play fetch. Somehow he had succeeded. "Send a message to the High Council," she said. "Tell them the quarantine is not working. The humans are not being contained. They are being creative." She paused and looked at another report. A human engineer had just figured out how to make a black hole spin backwards. "Very creative," she whispered. Dr. Ben Taylor stood in front of a room full of Earth's best engineers and pilots. Behind him was a massive holographic display showing a black hole called Sagittarius 7. The black hole was spinning slowly in space, surrounded by a bright disk of matter that glowed like fire. "Ladies and gentlemen," Ben said with a big smile, "I present to you Operation Cosmic Roulette." Captain Alex Chen, Earth's best test pilot, raised his hand. "Ben, please tell me you're not asking me to fly into that thing." "Not into it, exactly," Ben replied. "More like around it. Very, very close around it." Alex looked at the holographic black hole. It was huge, with gravity so powerful it bent light itself. "Define very close." "Well, you'll need to enter the accretion disk to deploy the energy collectors. The disk is where all the matter spirals around before falling into the black hole. It's only heated to about 10 million degrees. "Only 10 million degrees," Alex repeated. "Ben, that's hotter than the center of the sun. Which is why we built you a really good heat shield," Ben said cheerfully. "Plus, you won't be in there very long. Just long enough to place 12 energy collection stations around the disk." Colonel Sam Rodriguez, who had been quietly studying the plans, whistled softly. "This is insane, even for us. You want to turn a black hole into a power plant?" "Think about it," Ben explained. "Black holes are the most powerful objects in the universe. They spin, they have massive magnetic fields, and they're surrounded by all this hot, energetic matter. It's like having a giant generator just sitting there unused." Engineer Kate Phillips was examining the technical specifications. "The math actually works," she said, sounding surprised. "If we can get the collectors in place, we could power half the galaxy." "Exactly," Ben said. We solve the energy crisis and show the aliens that humans can do more than just break things. We can build things too. Alex Chen was still staring at the black hole display. What are the chances of survival? Honestly, I have no idea, Ben admitted. Nobody has ever tried this before, but hey, that's never stopped us. 3 days later, news of Operation Cosmic Roulette leaked to the alien networks. The reaction was immediate and terrifying. On the Vrex Empire homeworld, Emergency Chancellor Krixtha called an urgent meeting of the High Command. The council chamber was filled with the Empire's greatest military leaders and scientists. They want to do what with a black hole? General Vorth asked. According to our intelligence, they plan to turn it into an energy source, Krixtha replied. They believe they can fly into the accretion disk and survive. The room erupted in panicked voices. This is madness, shouted Admiral Cathrex. Black holes are the most dangerous objects in the universe. Even we fear them. The gravitational forces alone would crush any known ship, added Chief Scientist Plethara. And the radiation levels in the accretion disk would kill anything, living in microseconds. General Vorth slammed his fist on the table. Enough. The humans have gone too far. They are no longer just a danger to themselves. If they destabilize a black hole, it could affect entire star systems. What do you suggest? Asked Krixtha. We destroy Earth before they can complete this insane project, Vorth replied. It is the only way to protect the galaxy. Similar conversations were happening across the galaxy. The crystalline shards were considering shattering their homeworld rather than face whatever catastrophe the humans might cause. The gas-being ethereals were preparing to flee to another galaxy entirely. But then something unexpected happened. Deep, in the ancient regions of space where stars were old and cold, something stirred. The ancients had been watching the galaxy for millions of years without speaking. They were older than most civilizations, more powerful than any known species, and so mysterious that other aliens spoke of them only in whispers. The ancient communication came as a quantum transmission that hurt to perceive. It reached every major government in the galaxy at the same time. The message was simple but terrifying in its implications. The humans amuse us. Let them play. On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Zixathala received the message while meeting with the Galactic Council. When the ancient transmission ended, the entire council sat in stunned silence. The ancients have spoken, whispered High Counselor Zephram. They want us to allow the humans to continue. But the Black Hole Project could destroy star systems, protested General Korth. The ancients are older and wiser than all of us combined, Zephram replied. If they say the humans should be allowed to proceed, then perhaps we do not understand what we are seeing. Meanwhile, Captain Rachel Green had been chosen as humanity's diplomatic representative. She was Earth's best negotiator, and one of the few humans who could talk to aliens without accidentally terrifying them. Rachel's ship, the Peacemaker, approached the massive alien fleet that had gathered near Earth. There were hundreds of ships from dozens of species, all armed and ready for war. The sight would have scared most people, but Rachel just smiled. This is Captain Green to the alien fleet, she broadcast. I understand you folks are a bit worried about our latest project. The response came from Admiral Kithrex of the Vrex Empire. Captain Green, your people are planning to weaponize a black hole. This cannot be allowed. Weaponize? Rachel laughed. Admiral, we're not making a weapon. We're making a power plant. Think of it like a really big hydroelectric dam, except instead of water, we're using a black hole. The accretion disk temperatures alone, the Admiral began. Will provide excellent energy output, yes, Rachel interrupted. Look, I know this seems crazy to you, but we've run all the calculations. We know what we're doing. No species has ever attempted such a thing, protested another alien voice. Well, yeah, Rachel replied. That's kind of our thing. We do stuff nobody else has tried. Remember when you all said we couldn't surf gravitational waves? Or fix pulsars with tools, or use dying stars as welding torches? There was a long pause. Then Admiral Kithrex spoke again, his voice filled with despair. Your people have no concept of impossible, do you? Not really, no, Rachel admitted. We prefer to think of impossible as hasn't been done yet. And if you fail? If you destabilize the black hole? Rachel was quiet for a moment. Then we'll figure out how to fix it. We always do. Back on Earth, Alex Chen was making final preparations for his mission. His ship, the Lucky Strike, had been modified with the best heat shielding humanity could build. The energy collectors were loaded and ready for deployment. You know this is completely crazy, right? His co-pilot, Lieutenant Sarah Davis, asked as they ran through the pre-flight checklist. Of course it's crazy, Alex replied. If it wasn't crazy, they would have asked someone else to do it. Dr. Ben Taylor's voice came through the intercom. Alex, we're getting reports that about half the alien fleets in the galaxy are heading this way. Apparently they're not happy about our black hole project. Are they going to try to stop us? Alex asked. Probably. But the ancients sent a message telling everyone to leave us alone, so we should be okay. Sarah looked up from her instrument. Funnel. The ancients? The mysterious super-powerful aliens that nobody has heard from in a million years? Those are the ones, Ben confirmed. Apparently they think we're amusing. Alex started the ship's engines. Well, let's not disappoint them. Time to go play with a black hole. As the Lucky Strike launched toward Sagittarius 7, alien fleets from across the galaxy watched and waited. Some hoped the humans would succeed. Others prayed they would fail quickly and cleanly. None of them were prepared for what was about to happen. The greatest test of human impossibility was about to begin. Captain Alex Chen was halfway to the black hole when everything went wrong. The Lucky Strike's warning system suddenly started screaming. Alex looked at his displays and felt his heart skip a beat. Something was coming out of the darkness between galaxies. Something big. Sarah, are you seeing this? He asked his co-pilot. Lieutenant Sarah Davis was staring at her sensor readings. Alex, there are ships approaching from intergalactic space. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. The ships were unlike anything in the galactic databases. They were black as space itself and seemed to bend light around them. They moved in perfect formation, heading straight for the heart of the galaxy. This is Lucky Strike to Earth Command, Alex broadcast. We have a problem. On Earth, Admiral Murphy was in the command center when the message came through. He listened to Alex's report and felt a chill run down his spine. Patch me through. To the alien fleets, he ordered. Admiral Kithrex, this is Admiral Murphy. Are you seeing what we're seeing? The alien commander's voice was tight with fear. We see them, Admiral. The Void Dwellers have returned. Void Dwellers? Creatures from the space between galaxies, they consume entire star systems. We thought they were myths. More reports started coming in from across the galaxy. The Void Dweller ships were appearing, everywhere moving toward populated systems. Wherever they went, stars began to dim and planets went dark. How do we fight them? Murphy asked. We do not, Kythrex replied. Our weapons cannot harm them. They exist partially outside normal space. We can only run. But even as alien fleets began retreating in panic, something strange was happening. The Void Dwellers seemed confused by something. Their perfect formations were breaking up. Some ships were actually slowing down. Bobby Price, a maintenance chief on a mining station, was the first to figure out why. He was studying the sensor readings of the approaching Void Dwellers when he noticed something odd. Hey, look at this, he told his friend Jim. These things move in perfect patterns, right? Like they follow some kind of program. So? Jim asked. So, what happens when you hit a computer that's acting up? Jim looked at him. You restart it or you hit it until it works right. Exactly, Bobby said with a grin. I think these things might be vulnerable to percussive maintenance. Word of Bobby's theory spread quickly through human space. It was crazy, but no crazier than anything else humans had tried lately. Captain Chris Murphy, Admiral Murphy's son, was the first to test the theory. He flew his fighter straight at a Void Dweller ship and opened fire with everything he had. The alien observers expected to see him destroyed instantly. Instead, something impossible happened. The Void Dweller ship flickered. For just a moment, it became visible as a normal ship instead of the strange, reality-bending thing it had been. Did you see that? Chris broadcast. It worked. Whatever they are, they don't like getting hit. More human ships joined the attack. Each time they fired on a Void Dweller vessel, it flickered and became more solid. The aliens watched in amazement as humanity's chaotic fighting style began to work against enemies that had seemed invincible. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Maria Santos was an electrician working on a deep space communications array when the Void Dwellers attacked her sector. She was trapped alone on the station as the alien ships approached. Instead of running, she did what any human would do in that situation. She started taking things apart to see how they worked. If these things exist partially outside normal space, she muttered to herself, maybe they need some kind of anchor to stay in our reality. She worked frantically, pulling apart the station's main computers and rebuilding them into something that had never existed before. She called it a reality stabilizer, though she wasn't entirely sure what it actually did. When she turned it on, the effect was immediate. The Void Dweller ships in her area suddenly became completely solid. They were no longer mysterious entities from beyond space. They were just ships, and ships could be destroyed. "Earth Command, this is Santos," she broadcast. "I think I figured out how to make these things stay put long enough to shoot them." Within hours, every human engineer in the galaxy was building reality stabilizers based on Maria's design. They were crude, jury-rigged devices that shouldn't have worked. But they did work because humans had a talent for making impossible things function through sheer stubbornness. The tide of battle began to turn. Wherever humans deployed their impossible devices, Void Dweller ships became vulnerable. The alien fleets that had been retreating in terror suddenly found themselves fighting alongside humans against a common enemy. But the biggest surprise came from Alex Chen and the Lucky Strike. Alex was still flying toward Sagittarius 7 when he realized something important. The Void Dwellers were heading straight for the black hole. They seemed to want it for something. "Sarah," he said, "I think I know what they're after. Black holes are the most concentrated sources of energy in the universe. If they can drain one, they'll have enough power to consume the entire galaxy." "What do we do?" Sarah asked. Alex looked at the black hole spinning ahead of them, then at the approaching Void Dweller fleet. He thought about Operation Cosmic Roulette and all the energy collectors in his cargo hold. "We do what humans do best," he said. "We try something stupid and see what happens." He flew the Lucky Strike straight into the black hole's accretion disk, just as planned. But instead of placing the energy collectors around the disk to harvest power, he set them to do something else entirely. He used them to overload the black hole. "Alex, what are you doing?" Sarah shouted as the ship shook from the massive gravitational forces. "I'm turning this black hole into the galaxy's biggest bug zapper," Alex replied, working frantically at his controls. The energy collectors began channeling the black hole's power in ways it was never meant to be channeled. The accretion disk flared brighter than a star. Space itself began to vibrate with barely contained energy. When the Void Dwellers reached the black hole, they flew straight into Alex's trap. The overloaded black hole released a pulse of pure energy that spread across light years in seconds. Every Void Dweller ship caught in the pulse simply vanished, sent back to whatever dark space they had come from. The Lucky Strike, protected by its experimental heat shields and Alex's incredible piloting, somehow survived. Alex and Sarah found themselves floating in space near a black hole that was now spinning backwards and glowing like a rainbow. "Oops," Alex said. "I think I broke physics again." Back on Earth, Admiral Murphy was getting reports from across the galaxy. The Void Dwellers were gone. Humanity's combination of creative chaos and impossible engineering had saved everyone. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're getting messages from alien governments across the galaxy. They want to know if we're available for consultation on other impossible problems." Murphy smiled. "Tell them we'll be right there. But first, someone needs to go help Alex fix that black hole before it turns into something even weirder." 3 months later, the Galactic Council met again on Nexus Prime. This time, the mood was very different. Instead of fear, there was something that looked almost like hope. Ambassador Zix Thala stood before the assembly, but she was not alone. Captain Rachel Green stood beside her, representing humanity's new role in galactic affairs. "The human consultation protocol is now officially established," Zix Thala announced. "Whenever the galaxy faces a problem that seems impossible to solve, We will ask humanity to take a look at it. And if they accidentally break something while they're trying to help? Asked General Korth. Rachel shrugged. Then we'll figure out how to fix it. We always do. In the audience, Captain Jake Morrison was sitting next to his friend Pete Collins. Jake was reading a report about a star that had started singing opera and making nearby planets dance to the music. Looks like we have another impossible problem to solve, Pete said. Jake handed his beer to Pete and stood up. Hold my beer, he said with a grin. This sounds like fun. The alien observers no longer looked terrified when they heard those words. Now they looked excited. They had learned something important about humans over the past few months. Sometimes the most dangerous thing in the galaxy was exactly what you needed to save it. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, the ancients were laughing.